Welcome to another random batch of DC figures. This time we have 3 different DC icon figures based on their comic book counterparts. This is from DC Collectibles or DC Directs, whatever they want to call themselves this time. And I bought them from the same shop. I picked up the really cheap CW TV version characters figures from last time. I actually picked up 2 more characters, 1 figure from them and 1 figure from another shop that was also selling for super cheap. But I just want to bring Vixen in right here. As you can see, they're totally different scale. And even as I was picking these figures up, picking them up in the box, I was like, something's a bit different here. Yeah, these figures are smaller. So, and that's annoying. Now, none of the boxes for the TV stuff doesn't say DC Icons or Essentials or whatever the line that they have. But the box packaging and box art and box style is very similar to each other. So you're someone like me who's just started buying like more DC figures directly from DC Collectibles, this thing's gonna happen. I'm gonna think, you know what, my Hush Superman's gonna be coming in. I'm gonna quite like to pick up this Lex Luthor to battle him, but that's not gonna happen because this Lex Luthor's too small and these TV characters are more of the Maverick scale. So what's happening here is that all movie or TV or live action style characters have their own scale, and all the comic booky ones can fit next to the SH figure arts. You see, hey, that's a similar scale, same scale maybe. Maybe Superman should be a little bit taller, but otherwise they are the same scale. Actually, he is a bit taller than Lex Luthor. So DC Icons is figure arts or Figma scale, whereas the DC TV or movie whatever stuff is Mafex scale or McFarlane scale, whatever. Now, I'm not here to review these 2 characters. I have another video in mind for them because their joints and articulation just sucks so much. I want to do something about it, but I'm going to have to do some research about that before I go more into that. And of course, the Superman can go away because I reviewed that a few years ago, and my opinion is probably still the same. So, anyway, starting on the left-hand side here, we have Lex Luthor in his power armor, and aside from his figure and fist, he also comes with a pair of relaxed open hands. A hand holding this weird wand or staff thing. I don't know if it's like a Reddit staff or whatever. I've not read that many Superman comics where Lex Luthor has this suit. I've watched a lot of cartoons where he has this suit or whatever. He also has this energy thing, which this plate's not even transparent, so that's kind of a bummer. It's just like a flat plastic, whatever. He also has a Assassin's Creed plate or whatever that thing is that plugs onto the side of his arms, and it's very loose. Like, seriously, you need to blue tack it or it will like just disappear and fall off, and that just sucks. In the middle there we have Blue Beetle. He wasn't someone that I was like that keen on picking up. Like, before seeing the discount box and stuff, I was always kind of keen to pick up a Green Lantern, and Lex Luthor sort of makes sense because I want something to battle Superman. But and I just looked at Blue Beetle and I was like, yep, that looks great. Who would have thought a Rider fan likes the look of Blue Beetle? But anyway, his accessories come with these 2 transparent pieces of wings with a bit of metallic molded into the plastic and just a little bit of paint detail on the ends there, so that's kind of cool. And all you do is just plug these into these hole slots. Would have been cooler if these are ball joints or ball pegs for even more movement, but whatever, what we have here gets the job done. It's fine. And do be careful with that. It does feel a little bit fragile on that tip, so be careful how you're pulling it. Don't pull it around here. You really want to get your hand down there to that's what she said, and pull it just right there. Put pressure on the actual peg itself, so be careful of that. And I guess when the pegs are not in, you're gonna have some ugly holes there, which it's fine. It's on the back. I'm okay with it. For the price I paid for, I'm okay with what we have here. And we also have these 2 cannons, which not much paint job on it, but white on them. For the most part, it's just a metallic-ish blue plastic that's the same that they've done on the torso. And you got these pegs here, so you just pull on the arm, and you have a little blue peg there, and you just have to force that in, I guess, which is easier said than done. Oh, that's in, I guess. So now he has a giant cannon gun thing, which is kind of cool. But I'm just gonna put that off. I prefer his hands and whatever. There we go. Which that does mean he's got an extra joint there, because to accommodate these cannons. So cool. Find a Green Lantern here. It comes with an extra glove hand with a hole in it for you to plug in different effects. As you can see right here, so you can just get this one, plug that in. You've got this weird sort of almost used up or closing up energy beam. you have this classic cross shape one, which looks like something on the comic book cover, or just the way the light shines on it. That's kind of cool, but it is very thin plastic, kind of fragile. I don't know when I did this, but this one is already slightly warped, so I'm gonna have to be extra careful with this. Again, make sure you know where you're applying your pressure when removing or attaching it. And the third piece here is just a bunch of energy or whatever. He also comes with a pair of ungloved hands that you can just sort of plug into his arm. So once again, just like Blue Beetle, he has an extra joint because it's a round peg. And finally, his accessories also comes with a green rechargeable battery. So this Green Lantern battery, yep, transparent green inside, metallic, and metallic on the outside as well. The handlebar does swing backwards and forwards just a little bit, and he has a hand to sort of hold onto it. So that's kind of cool. If he's not holding onto it, it can stand there pretty well. Lex Luthor here, his face is okay, although I think the print is slightly off center, so he's kind of looking to his right side, I guess. The more glossy finish of the green contrasts quite nicely with the more matte finish of the purple, although that purple there is definitely mismatched with the body, so these little purple bits, so that's definitely a bummer. And there's also shiny bits on his pants as well, which, yeah, it kind of looks crap. Soft rubbery plastic on the sides here that don't hinder articulation, that's awesome. And yes, overall it's a very simple, like, you know, so overall in terms of color it's very simple, but that's how it looks in the comics and whatever, and I think that's pretty well done. Overall it looks pretty neat, you know. I'm okay with it. I wouldn't have, if I bought it for like the full price or whatever, it still would have been decent. So yeah, this is kind of cool. So in terms of articulation, he has a ball joint head, but you know, his collars and stuff does get in the way. Those are hard plastic, so no avoiding that, but he can still look quite side to side quite well. And I think it's a ball joint in there, so he can look up kind of sideways too. So yeah, not the most agile person, but he is in a power suit, so maybe, I don't know. Shoulders move up that much. These are clicky joints and rotating there, and elbow swivel. Upper arm swivel, that's cool. There is a double joint here, but it doesn't quite work because his muscles are constantly flexed in this position, and even from the front it will look kind of weird. So, and on the side it's just like he's always doing that, even when you don't, so it's a bit weird. Hand is on a peg and swivel. There is a, I think there's a ball joint in there, because this one does go side to side a little bit and rotates, but very limited articulation there. Got this tummy crunch, which again, I'm not a fan of this joint here, this U-shaped joint, but it sort of blends in with the armor, so I'm okay with it here. And it goes up. Back is just attached to a ball peg there, which doesn't move up or down or whatever. Double knee joint. The pegs are somewhat covered by this knee pad. And rotating joint here for the lower leg, and we've got the foot does go back, clicky forward, and this sort of small piece here does move out the way if needed, but he also has foot swivel, so that's kind of cool. So for the most part, if I compare this to say Figuarts of Figma, he's got almost all the joints that the Figuarts of Figma would have, just slightly few different areas here and there. One downside to this figure, so that's a plus, all those joints, but the downside is a lot of these joints are kind of loose. Look at that, he's wiggly. Even this upper arm joint's very loose too, but that's not so bad because that's a rotating joint. But yeah, these joints being loose is a bit of a bummer. But he can stand okay. It's just, you know, he might fall over at some point. So, you know, mind how you pose him, I guess. Right, next up with Blue Beetle, the paint job in this and coloring scheme and all that, again, is quite simple, but it looks really good. That's really awesome. These spiky bits, these smaller spiky bits are very soft plastic, so they won't snap. These ones are a bit harder plastic, so be careful with those. These ones are soft-ish, just because of how thin they are, so again, be careful with them. But these ones are close to the torso, so they shouldn't break that easily, but these ones, yeah, these big ones there, really be careful with those. And actually also be careful with these wings too, because if you peg them in too far like I have this time, they're a bit stuck. So I'm just gonna peg them in just loosely so they don't like break on me over time. So I'm just gonna, yeah, just gonna do that. I'm not gonna plug them all the way ever again, because I don't want them to snap. It feels like they're gonna. So anyway, the face looks pretty good. Would have been nice if it came with a unmasked head. That would have been really cool, but what we have here is still pretty decent. It's a nice look. The again, the overall coloring contrast is also pretty good as well. He does have kind of big feet, but I'll just chuck that up to the armor padding over the shoes or whatever. In terms of articulation, I think his head is on the ball joint, so you can look a little bit down, a little bit up. Honestly, actually not that much. Rotate the head, you can look sort of sideways just a little bit. So the neck probably goes way too far up into his head for any of those joints to work. It might as well be just a round peg. Shoulders go quite far up. These shoulder pads are soft plastic and do get in the way a little bit. Rotating joint there. Rotating upper arm. Double elbow joint, which sort of works, and because he's got that extra rotating joint there because of the swapping hand gimmick and the peg and swivel for the hand itself. Because we've got the 2 round pegs for the wings, upper body rotating just a little bit there. Yep, and it goes sideways a little bit. Tummy crunch. Again, this sort of fits in with the look of the armor pattern, so it's okay. Foot goes up, back, sideways, just round ball pegs in there. Double knee joint, foot goes forward, clicky back. And does it swivel pivot left and right? Yes, it does. So that's awesome. So you can definitely do more action poses. Again, that's another problem if you bought these first and then you decide to pick up the TV stuff, is that these have pretty good articulation, at least a good amount of them, but all the TV stuff are very stiff in comparison. Right, moving over to Green Lantern, I did my research online. I was looking at a few of them, like comparing different Green Lantern figures, and I was quite lucky that I bumped into this one, because this one's a pretty good one compared to some of the other lanterns. Like, I think the whole DC Essentials line is a lot of bollocks, to be honest. That's just lazy. But anyway, I have a pretty good looking John Stewart head there. That's pretty awesome. The metallic green on him is pretty nice as well. Again, that contrast is very nicely to black, but looking from some parts of him, he does look like he's just wearing like black and green pajamas. Okay, and because we've got the green pegs there, which do show up on the leg joints, which is a bit distracting, so I might just get like some black paint and cover that up, because I don't like it. I don't want to see those green dots there. They look weird. So yeah, cool. And the white gloves are shiny appropriately. So overall, this figure looks pretty good. Proportion-wise, I guess with all of these figures, they've all been pretty decent. They're not weird or wacky and stuff. And but they look realistic enough that they could stand next to figures of live action properties and still look pretty decent. So okay then. Again, he can look left and right, and his head goes up just a tad bit, down just a tad bit, sideways, a bit more. That's good. Torso. There is a joint in there, but it's so stiff. It is a ball joint, I think, but it's not really moving too much. I got shoulders rotating. Again, he's got a double elbow joint, but he's flexing so much that it'll never work. So yeah, it looks right when he's doing that, but when you relax his arms, it just looks really weird from the side. Look at that, that's weird. From the front, it looks okay-ish. Let's see. Tummy joint, that's really not moving either. You can lean quite far back, but not really forward. That's a shame. And extra rotating joint here for the swapping arm gimmick, and hands on pegs and swivels. Let's see. He's got an old-fashioned figure arts joint there, because actually this leg pops up quite easily. This peg here, it moves up and down just like old-fashioned figure arts, and some new figure arts still do it, but for the most part, figure arts don't do this anymore. So this is kind of cool. This is a classic figure arts joint, and we've got a thing in there that rotates with the foot. So that's kind of cool. Okay, pop that back in. So leg goes down, leg goes up, leg goes down, leg goes up. I haven't done that in a while. And a little bit of rotating there, but you know, the overall sculpt of it just hinders the joint, so whatever. Double knee joint, that's quite good. Foot clicks forward, clicks back, and of course, swivel and all that. So again, he can do pretty epic poses if I want to. So overall, I think I'm pleasantly surprised since this is the first time picking up some DC Icon figures. It's a bit of a shame that they don't match the other DC's scale. That's really annoying, but at least they match something else, in this case Figure Arts and Figma, so if I have cartoony characters, they can fit, and I do have, movie characters in fig art, so they can sort of fit with these two because they're sort of realistic enough. So that's kind of nice. So they can stand next to comic book stuff or realistic stuff, and they wouldn't really look out of place on the shelf or something. The overall articulation on these are also pretty decent. The paint jobs on these are very sharp, so the quality control seems to be pretty good. Slightly off-centered face for Lex Luthor, but otherwise they all look pretty decent. Accessory-wise, I think they come with the essentials, everything you just sort of need, but I am curious why Lex Luthor wouldn't come with, like, I don't know, some kryptonite maybe. That would have been cool to come with, but he doesn't have that. And it would have been really nice if Blue Beetle came with an unmasked head as well. So my favorite here in this regard is Green Lantern. He's got Green Lantern effects. He has the actual recharge battery lantern thingy, and they're also giving him some swappable arms without the gloves, which is an interesting choice of accessories. I wouldn't have missed him if he didn't have that, but I guess that is another like important version or look of his suit, so that's fine, I guess. But one thing that they did do is they gave us these different hands where he's ungloved, but he doesn't come with an extra ungloved hand that can use the Green Lantern effects to plug in. So it's like almost there. Come on, guys, you just missed that out. So for the price I paid for these, which is I think some of them are half price, that's pretty awesome. Just nice to pick up. They also had Deadman there, but I'm not that big of a fan of Deadman, and I was sort of like almost out of, you know, just spending money for the month, so I was like, I'm just gonna get these because I really like these. I won't bother with Deadman until, if he's still there next time I go there, then yeah, why not, because these figures are pretty cool, so I expect that one to be pretty good as well. And if I see any more of DC Icon stuff for decent prices, I'm definitely interested in picking up more of these to go along with, you know, my figure arts and stuff. So these are pretty good. If you're a DC fan and see these for slightly discounted prices, don't hesitate, pick these up. You see them from original prices. If they're one of your favorite characters, then yeah, why not? These are pretty awesome. Subscribe, suggest, and comment below, and guys, take care and have a nice day. I will see you guys soon. Bye bye now.